Order, order. We start with questions. Secretary of State for Science, Innovation and Technology, Jack Rankin.
Question number one, Mr. Speaker.
Secretary of State.
Can I start by wishing you and every member of the House a happy new year, Mr. Speaker? The government is committed to increasing R&D to a record allocation of £20.4 billion in 24-25. Lord Valence continues to meet with mathematical science representatives to determine how best to support the sector. The government is supporting the mathematical science sector in ways that best delivers for the taxpayer without the time and expense required to set up a new organisation.
Jack Rankin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the last financial year, the Minister's Department underspent by nearly £600 million. The proposed National Maths Academy was due to cost just £6 million, 1% of that total. People are disappointed by this cancellation. Can the Minister therefore explain whether he cancelled the Academy because he doesn't value the role of our national academies or because he doesn't think mathematical sciences are important?
Well, I've explained all of the ways that we are helping and assisting and supporting and driving mathematical science. He has just listed all of the ways that he has failed that sector by underspending in many parts of government and failing to commit the spending to the project that he's now calling this government to support.
Steve Race.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the Secretary of State agree with me that the recent announcement of new funding for research and development in the budget actually gives the sector really good clarity across the coming years about the investment and the way forward that this government wishes to take? Thank you.
I'm grateful for his question. He is quite right to highlight that finally science and technology in this country has a government that is on its side and putting its money where its mouth is.
Billington. Order. Please, I've got the members on the feet.
Number two, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
We are absolutely determined to make sure that copyright and intellectual property is protected as it always has been in this country. Our consultation is designed to do two specific things: ensure that there is legal certainty for AI developers and creative industries alike, and to make sure that there is more licensing of copyright material by AI developers.
Whittingdale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank my right honourable friend for that answer. However, visual artists earn far below the minimum wage and rely on copyright royalties to finance their work and continue to contribute to our world-leading creative industries in Thanet and across the country. What reassurances can the Minister give that the plans for a copyright exception for AI learning will not further contribute to that financial instability and weaken the lifeblood of our creative economy?
Minister.
She's absolutely right. She could big up her own constituency a little bit more because, I mean, Margate is probably one of the greatest centres of artists in this country. It's where Turner was trained, went to school. It's where you have Turner Contemporary, Tracy Emin doing so much work, and many, many other artists as well. It's a brilliant hub. Now, we want to make sure, as we did when we were in the last Labour government, when we introduced the artist resale right, that artists can earn a living out of their art. That's what we're determined to do, and we will make sure, just as last year New Zealand and Australia entered into the same agreement for artists' resale right, we want to make sure that there's a future revenue stream for every single artist in this country.
Sir John Whittingdale.
Does the Minister agree that transparency is absolutely crucial if creators are to understand where their works are being used by AI developers? Can he therefore assure me that the government will legislate on transparency, whatever the outcome in terms of the consultation on copyright reform?
He makes a really good point about transparency, and that's why that's one of the key elements of our consultation. We have, however, presented a package because we really want to make sure that we have a win-win here. So AI developers have the legal certainty that they need to be able to develop their products in the UK as UK producers, and secondly, so that creative industries can make sure that they know when their works have been used, and if they want to say no, they can say no, and if they want to say yes, they get properly remunerated for it.
Josh Newbury.
Number three, please, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My department is working incredibly closely with the Department of Health, and myself and the Health Secretary are joined at the hip on these issues. This includes unprecedented investment in R&D to understand how better to diagnose disease, the co-investment in initiatives such as the Health Innovation Networks, which have enabled 1.2 million patients to access proven innovations, and, as the digital centre of government that we've now created, partnering closely with the NHS to improve the deployment and innovation of technology.
Josh Newbury.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the Secretary of State for his response. My constituency of Cannock Chase has wide health inequalities, particularly high levels of respiratory illness and bladder and brain cancer. In some parts of the country, NHS trusts are rapidly speeding up diagnostic waiting times by using highly accurate AI models with the results checked by human clinicians. Can he confirm that the Government is supporting safe tech innovations like this to help fulfil our mission of building an NHS fit for the future?
I can indeed commit to that. This Government sees the embrace of proven technologies and innovation as fundamental to the future survival of the NHS. Now, I was incredibly happy to see that last autumn the Royal Wolverhampton NHS Trust began enrolling patients in a global first trial of completely personalised cancer vaccines as part of a £1 billion investment negotiated by my department. This shows the way forward, and it shows the way that cooperating between departments is going to deliver for patients and public service users right across the country.
Robin Swan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Minister, the early diagnosis saves lives. Rhondda in my constituency run a number of NHS health checks from the Isle of Wight through to Lanarkshire. Will the Minister encourage the greater use of those checks and also visit Rhondda with me to see how we can further advance that technology?
I can confirm that by working with the Health Secretary, visiting just quite recently St Tommy's across the road here to see how new technology is being used in diagnostics, it is increasing the number of scans and the quality of the scans to diagnose disease early in order to prevent the disease having the worst outcome. This is being rolled out across the country, and I'm working very, very closely with the Health Secretary to make sure that innovations like this are put to the good use for the country.
Chair of the Select Committee, Chiamora.
Mr. Speaker, last month's Select Committee brought festive cheer by hearing how British science is advancing the eradication of diseases such as cervical cancer, HIV, AIDS, malaria through innovative and exciting new treatments and diagnostics. But we also heard of the challenges of driving innovation through the NHS. Newcastle's biosciences company AMLO said that adoption is much quicker in the US, and others criticised bureaucratic procurement processes and a culture of inertia. Successive governments have struggled with this challenge. So what specific steps is he taking with the Health Secretary to make sure that British patients benefit from innovation?
Thank you. I'm very grateful for the question, but also to the work that her committee is doing in highlighting this incredibly important challenge that we face as a government and a country. I can say that the Health Secretary, for the first time, has adopted the role of spreading innovation through the NHS as a personal mission as part of the role of the Secretary of State for the first time. We both co-chair the Office of Life Sciences. Together, our two departments are not just trying to seek to harness the power of technology, but we're also working together under the leadership of the Health Secretary to drive that innovation, because it cannot be locked up in one innovative health trust. It must be put to use right across the NHS for every patient from every part of the United Kingdom.
Jim Shannon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I thank the Minister for his answers? What progress has been made on using AI algorithms to analyse medical images such as tumours, fractures or medical conditions? A pithy question, I think, Mr. Speaker.
I'm very grateful for his question, because having visited Huddersfield Hospital myself, one of the first hospitals to fully integrate AI into its radiotherapy work and its scanning work, I can say that having stood there and seen the power for early diagnosis, the ability to detect patterns at an incredibly early stage, I was left with no uncertain doubt that had my mother been scanned at that hospital, she would still be alive today. She was scanned 3 times that missed the progress of lung cancer in her, and she died several weeks after collapsing, having it not been detected. This is the power of technology. It is a human power, AI, that will transform lives, and we are determined to make sure...
Secretary of State, please, you want me to get to these other questions, I'm sure. Liberal Democrat spokesperson Victoria...
Many of the companies that I've spoken to who are supporting technological innovation in the NHS and beyond talk about their frustrations at the comparative difficulty of getting funding in the UK, and say that the British Business Bank could do much more to de-risk investment and unlock innovation. So what are the government doing to reform funding and provide an oasis in what has become known as the funding valley of death?
Well, firstly, we've done is overall increase to record levels the investment of this government into R&D. You also see the really pioneering work that's going on through Innovate UK, ARIA and the different funding bodies that are available to take different levels of risk when it comes to supporting, creating and upscaling the innovation. The work the Chancellor is doing to reform our pension system in this country is going to unlock capital, because fundamentally we've got to get more capital, domestic capital, into the venture capitalist community so that we can get domestic innovation supported by domestic capital to upscale and solve the challenges that she's talking about.
Question number 4, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Only this week we announced £289 million contract which will deliver gigabit-capable broadband to 131,000 difficult-to-reach premises across England and Wales. We are determined to make sure in every part of the country, including in his own constituency, that we reach all of these places.
Sir Ashley.
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful to the Minister for his answer. In some of villages in my constituency, such as Cannington and Nether Stowey, fewer than 10% of households have access to gigabit broadband, and download speeds are amongst the slowest in the country. So can he advise how his department will ensure that under this new contract, Openreach fulfil their obligations and my constituents get that faster broadband?
Can I first of all commend the honourable member, because this is the 4th time that he's asked a question of me broadly in this territory. In the words of Browning, hark the dominant's persistence till he must be answered to. He's quite right. There are villages in his constituency where there is no proper gigabit-capable internet available. I am determined to make sure that that does happen. I'm very happy to meet with him because I am just, in the words of the musical Oklahoma, a girl who can't say no. I'm very happy to meet with him.
Oh, come on, Rebecca Ball.
Question number 5, Mr. Speaker.
Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The government has increased investment on R&D to record levels. We have also repaired the public finances, including the black hole left by the previous administration. We have done so by protecting the smallest businesses, by the impact of doubling the employment allowance to $10,500, meaning that 865,000 employers will pay nothing in additional tax.
I thank the Secretary of State for his response. However, universities, which are at the heart of the UK's research ecosystem, face an additional $372 million in annual costs due to the rise in employer national insurance. This threatens their ability to fund cutting-edge research, recruit top talent and support early career researchers. Does the Minister recognise the detrimental impact this will have on research in this country, and will he explore measures to ensure that our global competitiveness in science and innovation is not undermined?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have found ways to get new investment into universities. We are putting them on a solid financial footing, and this is just the start. We always knew we couldn't fix all of the problems we'd inherited from that last administration in 6 months, but we're finding ways to take the great start forward to get new investment into universities, and I can reassure the House the war on universities by that administration has ended.
Secretary of State Alan Mack.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Companies like ours will be less incentivised to grow. That is the conclusion of Paul Taylor, founder of British tech unicorn Thought Machine, which employs over 500 people. Britain is now missing out on new jobs and investment as a direct result of Labour's national insurance jobs tax. But when the Chancellor started punishing our tech sector, the Secretary of State failed to stand up to her. Why?
We have put the public finances on a solid footing. Our economy is now in a stable way that has not been the case for 14 years. It is also the case that the party opposite wants all of the benefits of the last budget without saying how they will pay for any of it. And until they do, they will not be taken seriously by anyone, including the business that he references.
Alan Mack.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The truth is Labour is failing our tech workers because they don't care about our tech sector. Last September, Paul said he was very keen to list Thought Machine in London instead of New York. And one of his preconditions before listing is being able to grow the business as much as possible. So why did the Secretary of State allow the Chancellor to make growth harder for Britain's tech sector at this budget?
I think the honourable gentleman missed the investment summit that the government held just before Christmas, at which a record £60 billion was invested into this country, 24 billion of which was AI related. That is almost as much directly into AI than was committed in total in that government's previous investment summit in total. This government is unlocking investment. That government in the previous administration wrecked our economy, wrecked our public services, and failed to get faith in our economy so that foreign companies could invest in this country.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just in case the House didn't hear, this government is driving innovation with a record £20.4 billion of R&D investment for 25-26, powering an innovation-led economy across the UK. In Staffordshire, UKRI is backing over £29 million in 70 cutting-edge research and innovation projects. A standout example in innovative UK support for Staffordshire Net Zero Skills for Growth project is equipping the country to seize opportunities in the net zero transition.
Thank you. Towns like those in my constituency are key to the economy but can face unique challenges in accessing innovation opportunities. Please could the Minister tell me how she plans to ensure that towns like Stafford and Eccleshall are able to access new jobs, skills, investments and growth opportunities?
Minister.
I thank my honourable friend for that question. The Department has a clear vision to ensure that UK remains at the forefront of global innovation, a place where cutting-edge businesses of all sizes can start and grow and local people have high-quality jobs building on local strengths. And I'm delighted to hear about the new multi-million-pound facility at Newcastle and Stafford College's Stafford campus, supported by £15 million of government investment being built in my honourable friend's constituency, which will welcome learners from September. And this facility will help provide the technical skills businesses need, both now and in the future, to support regional and national productivity.
Lewis Atkins.
Number 7, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. DCIT is leading the charge by establishing the Digital Centre of Government to harness technology and transform our public services. We are committed to improving digital inclusion and accessibility to ensure high-quality online services are available to everyone. And in the coming months, Mr. Speaker, the Department will outline its plans and priorities for Digital Centre and advancing its digital inclusion.
Lewis Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sunderland was recently named the UK's smartest city by The Times, and it was a pleasure to welcome the Secretary of State to visit recently. More than 5,000 homes in our city now have assistive technology installed, supporting the independence of older and disabled people to improve their access to care. Can I ask the Minister how the Government plans to build on the example of Sunderland to improve access to public services across the UK?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my honourable friend for his question. The government recognises the potential for digital technology to support people to live independently, and we will set new national standards for care technologies and develop trusted guidance so that people who draw on care, their families and care providers can confidently buy what works and get the safest, most effective tech into their homes or services. In addition, Mr. Speaker, we'll be taking forward a range of initiatives in 25-26, including funding more home adaptations, promoting better use of care technologies.
Forward.
Steps is her department taking for older people who don't feel comfortable about utilising technology to access public services?
Minister.
I thank the honourable member for his question. We'd be happy to hear that the public sector body's accessibility regulation requires most public sector organisations to ensure their services are accessible to disabled people and older people by meeting the requirements of the Web Content Accessibility Guidance and by publishing a prescribed format accessibility statement. And the Government Digital Services Accessibility Monitoring Team reviews public sector websites to ensure compliance with the accessibility regulation and support departments to improve their services.
Shadow Minister Dr Ben Spence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I welcome her approach to improve access through technology. However, the majority of concerns I and many colleagues receive are from those who cannot use technology. Rather than improve access, for some, technology can act as a barrier. What is her assessment of the impact of digital exclusion in the UK? And in the strategy that she's announced for digital inclusion, will this include digital exclusion at all levels of government?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, digital inclusion is a priority for this government, and we have set up the Digital Inclusion and Skills Unit to ensure that everyone has the access, skills and support and confidence to participate in modern digital society, whatever their circumstances. Work is ongoing to develop our approach to digital inclusion and coordinate across government departments, and we hope to announce more on this soon. We will be working closely with third sector, the industry, devolved governments and local authorities to ensure future interventions are targeted and based on individuals' needs.
Right, we come to topicals. Zoe Franklin.
Question 1, Mr. Speaker.
Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have seen fear and lies spread about life in Britain. To those who have done little or nothing to combat child sexual abuse are stretching every sinew to jump on that bandwagon. This government is committed to justice for the victims and punishment for the perpetrators of abuse, wherever it happens, to ever who commits it. And on that, I pay tribute to the work the Prime Minister, and in particular, my honourable friend, the member for Birmingham Yardley, did in this regard. The legal codes Ofcom set out last month are the single biggest change to online safety for a generation.
In 2023, the Lords Digital Committee found that 1.7 million households were without internet. With the forthcoming switchover to internet protocol television, would the Minister outline how they're working to ensure that no one is left behind by that switchover?
I'm very grateful for a question. It's incredibly important. Broadcast TV is legally protected until 2034. This government is committed to ensuring audiences can access television in a way that suits them. Too many people are excluded from digital activity through lacking the basic skills. In the not-too-distant future, I'll be launching the Digital Inclusion Plan. I know that she takes cross-party working very seriously. I hope she'll meet with me so I can brief her on that work and involve her ideas as we develop it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I refer the House to my register of interest. Globally, billions of pounds of investment are flowing into companies creating new technologies to power data centres. Communities across the UK should be sharing this opportunity of well-paid skilled jobs which this investment offers. In Derby, Rolls-Royce are world leaders in the development of small modular reactors. I love Derby. Does the Secretary of State agree with me that they show British innovation at its strongest and would be a dynamic partner for any technology company wishing to invest in the future?
I'm grateful for his question. I do agree, of course, and of course the other side seem to as well. I agree that technological innovation will be the key to move to net zero, and the UK will be at the forefront of that, and SMRs are particularly exciting. I've met with Rolls-Royce. They have a great advocate in the honourable member. I look forward to hearing more from him and seeing how we can support this exciting technology into the future.
Blakeston.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. What steps is the government taking to support pioneering British companies like Cranfield Aerospace Solutions in mid-Bedfordshire in their pursuit of hydrogen-powered flight? And how will the industrial strategy ensure the UK remains a global leader in sustainable aviation technology?
Thank you. He raises a very important point, one that this government is committed to. That's why we increased R&D spending to the highest of any government in this country, and it will have a direct impact on the issues that he raises.